When someone inquires about your childhood and you just freeze, like the answer isn't quite there. Not because it was terrible or because nothing occurred, but because somewhere between the age of 7 and 17, you skipped about 15 chapters. Yeah, that gap is what I want to discuss today. There's this thing that occurs when childhood concludes before it's supposed to, and I'm not discussing some dramatic, movie-worthy moment. Sometimes it's quieter than that. It could be preparing dinner for your siblings at 9 years old while your parent works a double shift, or becoming the translator between your parents during their arguments, or even learning to read the room before you learn to read chapter books. Something that doesn't get discussed much is this: that version of you, the one who had to mature too rapidly, that part of you doesn't disappear. It still influences how decisions get made even right now. Let me illustrate this better for you. There is a kid, maybe 8 years old, and they've just become the most responsible person in their household, not because they chose to, but because they had to, and something shifts. Psychologists label this parentification, when a child takes on roles and responsibilities that should belong to adults. Yet that clinical term doesn't quite capture it, does it? It doesn't capture the weight of being small and holding up something so much bigger than you. Dr. Lisa M. Hooper, who's conducted extensive research on this, found that parentified children often develop what appears like exceptional maturity. Yet, and this is crucial, it's not actually maturity. It's a survival adaptation. It's a child's nervous system learning to operate in crisis mode as the default setting. That idea tends to linger. What felt normal to you was often someone else's crisis. Now, many individuals who mature this way notice they become very proficient at certain things. Reading people's emotions, you could sense your mom and dad's mood the second they walk through the door, anticipating the needs of anyone before they voiced them. Problem-solving became second nature because the alternative wasn't really an option. Where it initiates to manifest later is here. Those identical superpowers you developed, they come with a price tag you didn't comprehend you'd be paying 20 years later. You know what's quite fascinating? Children who mature too rapidly often struggle the most with the simplest things, not the substantial existence challenges as you might expect. Somehow they can handle those with their eyes closed. It's the small stuff, requesting help, resting without experiencing guilty, being, silly, carefree. Those feel almost dangerous to them. Because when you learned early on that the world doesn't halt for you and that your needs come second, that stability depends on your ability to hold it together. You didn't just learn a lesson, you built an entire operating system around it, and that system is still running. Let me explain what this appears like in adulthood. Often, individuals like this become the ones others rely on in a crisis. The reliable one, the one who just handles things. You're attracted to individuals who need fixing. Now, I comprehend that makes it sound like you possess a savior complex, but it's actually because being needed feels like love. It's the only category you learn to recognize. Relationships tend to get tricky. Intimacy feels exposing because being vulnerable, that was a luxury you couldn't afford back then. So even now, even when you're safe, even when you're with someone who genuinely cares, there's this part of you that cannot let your guard down, that will not let your guard down. You might find yourself attracted to emotionally unavailable partners. And before you blame yourself for that, comprehend this. Unavailable feels familiar. It feels like home. Because home was a place where you gave endlessly, and receiving, that was rare. So when someone offers you consistent love and consistent presence, it might actually feel oddly incorrect, uncomfortable, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. There's also this thing with control. And no, I'm not discussing being controlling in the toxic sense, though sometimes it can manifest that way too. I'm discussing that deep primal need to manage every variable in your environment, because unpredictability once meant danger, and chaos meant everything falling apart. So you plan. You overthink a lot, might I add. You run through 17 different scenarios before making the smallest decision, and individuals might label you type A, or anxious, or perfectionist. Yet what they're genuinely observing is a child who learned that letting their guard down had consequences. The exhaustion is genuine, by the way. That bone-deep tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, that's not laziness nor weakness. That's what occurs when your nervous system has been in overdrive since you were in elementary school. Your physical body never learned what genuine rest feels like because rest wasn't classified as safe. Rest, in fact, meant things might fall apart. Here's something that might hit hard. A lot of individuals who matured too rapidly possess this peculiar relationship with success. You achieve things, beneficial things, impressive things, yet it never quite feels like enough. There's always this voice stating more, better, faster, prove yourself because your worth got tangled with your usefulness way back when. And the cruel reality, the world actually rewards this. Society loves individuals who matured too rapidly. If you contemplate it, we're productive, we're often independent, we don't require much, we're low maintenance, and we get things accomplished. Yet nobody inquires what it cost us to become this way. There's something else that occurs too. You become fluent in a language most individuals never possess to learn, and that is the language of emotional labor. You're able to manage a room full of tension, kind of like a conductor leading an orchestra. Diffuse conflict before it even initiates because you spot it as it's about to occur. Make everyone else comfortable while you're drowning inside. And the strangest part, you might not even realize you're accomplishing it anymore. It's just automatic, like breathing. Except breathing is supposed to keep you alive, and this slowly empties you out. You probably possess moments where you're surrounded by individuals, friends, family, coworkers, and you still feel completely alone. Not lonely in the obvious way, alone in the sense that nobody genuinely observes how hard you're functioning to keep everything smooth, to keep everyone okay. And requesting them to notice your effort feels, I don't know, like admitting defeat. Like you failed at the one thing you were supposed to be proficient at. So what do you accomplish with all of this? How do you heal from something you're not even sure counts as trauma? Because it wasn't one substantial event. It was 1,000 small moments of being too much and not enough at the identical time. First, you possess to grieve. And I comprehend that sounds dramatic, yet you're grieving something genuine. You're grieving the childhood you didn't get to possess. The version of you who could have been messy and needy and irresponsible and still been loved. That kid deserved superior. And stating that out loud doesn't make you ungrateful or bitter. It makes you honest about the truth. Secondly, you've got to learn, and this is the hard part, that being needed isn't the identical as being valued. That your worth isn't measured by what you produce or how well you can manage other individuals' emotions. You are not a human doing. You're a human being, and being is enough. You're allowed to rest. To not possess all the answers for once. You're even allowed to be the one who falls apart sometimes, and to receive without earning it first. And maybe most importantly, you're allowed to be a beginner at being taken care of, because that's what you are. The fact that you're 30, 40, or 50 doesn't transform that you never genuinely learned how to let someone else hold the weight, so be patient with yourself as you learn. That child who matured too rapidly, they accomplished an incredible job keeping everything together. They were resourceful and strong and brave beyond measure. Yet they can rest now. They're not forced to run the show anymore. It's safe to let someone else take a turn. It's safe to just be young at heart, even if you're late to it. You've been holding on so tight for so long. What would it feel like to finally let go? If this hit home for you, please subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button to become a channel member. I would genuinely appreciate your support.